Welcome to my channel, when I predict events before they happen. I think like I was talking about this 2 or 3 years ago during the refugee crisis, and I was saying like, okay, a lot of the refugees that are coming in, statistically speaking, they're not able to find jobs. And it's no surprise. I mean, I myself would have difficulty finding a job in this environment, and I speak the language in my country. I have access to some networking and connections, and there are people that can help me get a job. But imagine like coming from outside of the country. You don't speak the language, you don't know the customs, you don't have access to this network of people. Trying to find a job, even if you were to want to do that, would be incredibly more difficult. And yet, like the politicians were ignoring the situation, and they were ignoring it in the level that they wouldn't even talk about it or address it. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, well, politicians are dumb. Despite the fact that a lot of people like to say that. I mean, sure, maybe the politician as the figurehead is stupid. But the reality is like they have other counselors, other people that are informing them. And those people aren't stupid. They're just looking out for themselves, and they're looking out for their interests. And usually their interest is like, how can they make more money and accumulate more power? So when you're looking through that prism, I was like, okay, well, why do they keep allowing mass migration? And it's not like this mass migration is natural, right? It's not like someone from Somalia just one day decides to go all the way into Germany, right? Like it doesn't work that way. There are NGOs that are trying to facilitate the transport of people. Like notice that the overwhelming majority of them happen to be men. Like they're not bringing their families. You don't see grandmas coming from Somalia. I mean, maybe there are a couple, but not a significant enough percentage to the point that when you go on Google and you're looking for like refugees coming into Europe, you see grandmas and you see children. Like you used to see that when you were looking at the situation with Ukraine. Like Ukraine actually sent, legitimate people fleeing war. But when you're looking at the other type of people that came during the refugee crisis, overwhelmingly men of fighting age, right? So you're wondering like, why is this a thing? Why is it being allowed? And I was thinking, well, imagine if they would allow them to become citizens by conscripting them into the military. So all of a sudden, you get a path to citizenship. And the only condition is that you serve for a certain number of years, you get paid, you get a roof over your head, you get like all these stuffs, right? I would assume that in the meantime, they can slowly cut down on the welfare, or the economy becomes so bad that this would actually be an opportunity. Like you don't get any more welfare, right? So you don't have a place to stay. You're becoming a little bit paranoid. So the only opportunity would be to join the military. Now, historically speaking, this has been done, like the French have their foreign region. Of course, the problem would be Germany doing it. Like the whole reason why Germany has the situation it's already in is due to the fact that they lost 2 world wars. It's due to the fact that whenever Germany had the military, it was bad for the rest of Europe. But now, due to the European Union project, due to several other alliances, they can, again, try to bypass most of the restrictions that were placed on them. And they have, like, people that are willing to fight. Now, what's interesting is that if you look at Germany as a country, it is one of the few nations in the world that has made its own people be as anti-patriotic as possible. So like, if you go to a German person and you ask them, like, hey, are you proud of your nation? Are you proud of your flag? Chances are they will say no. I mean, there is that viral video with Angela Merkel that takes the German flag and puts it away. Like, it's almost like she's disgusted with it, right? Like, that is the culture that is being promoted on the German people. Of course, not all German people are like that, but, like, finding a German patriot is quite difficult. And why is that? Well, they do not encourage people to be patriotic to Germany. They encourage people to be patriotic to the European Union, which is a German project. So basically, people like Angela Merkel and many others, they would look at the German flag and go, eh. But they look at the European Union flag and they're like, wow, right? So when you create this, like when you have like this, I suppose, bait and switch type of thing, it's going to be very difficult to get actual Germans to enroll in the military, right? To get Germans to enroll in the German military. It doesn't really make sense. Like, why would they do that? Like, you're telling them that the country is evil due to historical reasons that should never be repeated, right? There is some legitimacy to that, but it is difficult to find people that are willing to serve. So what you do then is you get people from outside of Germany, right? Like they that do not have their roots, like they do not have family members, they do not necessarily respect the German tradition. And what you tell them is like, okay, well, if you enroll in the military, you get a path to citizenship. However, if you disobey orders, if you get dishonorably discharged, if you do anything that we don't like, you lose that path to citizenship. And now you have an army of people that are willing to do almost anything that they are told. Like you are able to blackmail them into doing almost everything that they are told. And this has been done in history. Like, this is not a new concept, right? Like getting people from outside of the nation to serve in that nation's military has been done. I think like one of the most common practices of this was during the colonial times, right? You have like a colonial empire and you can like recruit people from your colonies, and then you can get those people from those colonies to actually fight against their brethren. And sometimes it can be very effective. They can be even very cruel, right? Because you're basically saying, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to take away your citizenship. Like all these years that you risked your life can be for nothing unless you follow orders. Like when you look at the historical context, it is indeed incredibly concerning. And especially when you look at the European Union, right? Like the European Union, it started as a trade agreement. Like people didn't join the European Union to create a federal state. People didn't join the European Union so that Germany get to dictate the culture in a country like Romania or Hungary, right? Like, why does Germany get concerned with, I don't know, the LGBT issues that happen in Hungary? Like, what do they have to do with trade? You know, that is a matter of concern for the Hungarian people. That is the normal thing. But like, no, the European Union is now concerned with like hate speech on Twitter, right? And if the European Union decides that Twitter is too problematic, they should be able to ban it even for places like Hungary and Romania. So most people didn't sign up for that. You know, most people didn't get a referendum. They didn't get a choice. They didn't decide that this is how the thing should be. And now there is dissent. Now we already had Brexit, and there's other countries that are saying, well, hold on a little bit. You know, like, we want to govern ourselves. Why should places like France, Brussels, or Germany have a thing to say about our culture, our values, and our way of life? Now, right now, if that were to happen, you know, the European Union already has a lot of mechanisms, economical in nature, that can tell a country, no, you're going to stay, because if you leave, we're going to use our economic power in order to make it worse for you. So they do have that, but they don't have a military, right? And this concept, which is happening in Germany, and I don't see why it can't be applied to other nations within the European Union, where they can form like an EU army or something like that would function the same way. It's like, hey, you know, if you don't have EU citizenship, all you have to do is like join the EU army, join the EU military, and in exchange you're going to get citizenship, and you're going to get the welfare and the benefits and whatnot. And then if you manage to get this done, if you manage to create this, when a country like Hungary wants to leave the EU, they can say, oh, well, the Hungarian government or the Hungarian referendum was illegitimate. It didn't happen the way we wanted to. So we're going to send a pacifying force or a liberation force in order to, you know. I mean, it's pretty much what the Russians are doing in Ukraine right now. This is what the denazification nonsense is all about. Moscow is basically saying we do not recognize their government, so we need to have a special military operation. I am very concerned about this, right? Hopefully this does not pass. I do think it will, though. Because it has been in the makings for quite a while. And if it doesn't pass, I think that they will try it again and again until it does. What is also concerning is that Germany apparently wants to have an army within 4 to 6 years. War ready within 8 years. Why should Germany be war ready? This is what I don't get. I don't think Germany should be war ready ever. We do have NATO. We do have an alliances of member states. Like even without NATO, you have like the Polish army, you have the Hungarian army, the Romanian army, you have the French and the German. They have their army as well. as incomplete as it is. I get that they don't get to have all the fun toys and whatnot, but we have like sufficient things to defend ourselves in case of an invasion. I don't want the European Union to go on the offensive, ever. No. No. But unfortunately, I don't get to make a call on this. And most of these things are done with the people's consent anyway. Like, did you guys vote for this? If you're in Germany, did you vote for it? No, you didn't. So let me know. Well, maybe I think like this is why they don't want the AFD to gain any power. I don't know how the AFD views this, but in case they don't view it favorably, it can put a wrench in their plan. You know, because you always wonder. It's like, okay, so why are they so upset if they lose elections? I mean, they lose elections and it's just like 4 years that they don't get to be in power, and then they have a new election and they have a new chance to win that. And the answer is because they have long-term projects like this that they know most of the people do not consent and they do not agree with, and they don't want a wrench to be thrown into the project. And they don't want the project to be delayed. I think this is what it is about. I think this is why they're so afraid of the AFD. Not specifically because of this particular reason, but there may be other projects like this. So let me know what you guys think. If you like my channel, please consider subscribing to Subscribestar. There's a link into the pinned comment. It can take you there. And I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.